Follow Alice. Speak English properly, effectively, and smartly.
Hi, this is Alice. As Chinese students, are you haunted by this question for years? I have been learning English for 5, 10, even 20 years. Why I still cannot understand the native speakers or speak real English? After 10 years of study, some students can only understand the simple English like, what's your name? Where are you from? How's the weather? Do you like this city? I've seen lots of hard-working students. Every morning on the beautiful campus, they read English loudly. You can hear them far, far away. But you can't even recognize what language they are reading until you get closer. Oh, they are reading English. And some students often ask the questions, why I can't speak English well? I'm learning English every day. I listen to English songs, watch American TV dramas every day. Why I cannot become a good speaker? Come on, these are entertainments. These are not learning English. So ask yourself, why your English isn't improving? Why you have practiced a lot, but just repeat your mistakes? Are you really learning English or just having fun? Actually, when lots of students are learning, they ignore the importance of listening. In the last class, we discussed that why listening is very hard. Listening isn't only about hearing, but a thinking skill, because it requires us to be selective with our attention, to classify and categorize information, and to sort out important principles and concepts from a stream of facts, jokes, and stories. In my opinion, if you want to become a good speaker, you have to be a good listener at first. But only few people notice the importance of listening. That's why today I want to talk about why listening is so important. First, good listening provides you with right language input. If you don't listen well, how can you expect yourself to speak right? How can you speak with the right pronunciation and grammar? Without correct and effective listening, you will just be repeating your own mistakes. So you need to not only listen, but listen rightly and effectively. In a word, listening is the basis of language learning. If you want to be a good speaker, debater, or interpreter, the first step you need to do is to improve your listening skills. Besides language learning, good listening can help you live a better life. Nobody likes people who always keep on talking and do not care people around them. We all like people who listen to us sincerely and carefully. Listening helps us understand other people's need and establish healthy relationships with family members, friends, and people around us. I think we can make more friends by listening than just by speaking. Good listening can also advance your career. Fortune magazine rates listening as a top management skill needed for success in business. Employers constantly say that what they want most are employees who are good at listening. So listen more. Just as ancient Greek philosopher Epictetus said, nature has given us one tongue, but 2 ears, that we may hear twice as much as we speak. More importantly, since listening is a kind of thinking skill, good listening encourages you to think more and care more. You'll be more open-minded, be more tolerant, discover more beauty of the world, listen to more valuable thoughts of others, and be a more creative thinker. On the contrary, the cost of poor listening is high. You would get easily distracted in class, screw up your listening tests. People around you will isolate you, and it holds back the development of your career. More severely, it can even cost our life. Speaking of Titanic, we all know the love story of Jack and Rose and the tragic ending, but seldom do we know the Titanic is a tragedy of poor listening?
One of the greatest tragedies in the history of sea travel occurred on the night of April 12, 1912, when the crew of the Titanic refused to listen to the repeated warnings of icebergs. The crew had been led to believe that this brand new passenger liner was unsinkable, and few doubted that boastful claim. Even after the ship struck an iceberg and was slowly sinking, some of the passengers ignored the captain's order to get into the lifeboats. When the ship finally began tilting dangerously, it was too late. As a result, more than 1,000 people needlessly lost their lives. The tragedy of poor listening caused an unsinkable ship to sink.
Now you may ask me, Alice, while learning public speaking, why are you talking so much about listening? My dear students, always remember, a good speaker is not someone who keeps on talking and talking, but someone who can say what the audience want to hear and speak properly, attractively, and smartly. Therefore, to achieve this goal, a good speaker should always care about the listeners and listen to audience needs. Think about it. If you are a speaker, what kind of audience do you like? Those who nod their heads, smile to you, take notes, and applaud after finish. You certainly do not want to see indifferent audience. Those who cross their arms, have empty eyes, doze or bury their heads on cell phones. Good audience are like magical pills. They can encourage speakers to speak better and to do their best. Similarly, if you are the audience, what kind of speakers do you like? Those who are interesting, humorous, respect the audience, and say something you want to hear. All the speakers who speak really fast in a really complicated way. Of course, we prefer the first type, right? Always remember, everyone is both a speaker and a listener. When you are a listener, listen carefully, be open-minded, and try to find sparkles on the speeches. When you are a speaker, you need to care about your audience, be passionate, control your speed, and say something they care about. Always remember, listening and speaking are two skills that cannot be separated. If you want to be a good speaker, you have to be a good listener at first. Good listening can help you find out your own problems faster, open your minds widely, and turn to be qualified speakers. In order to be an effective listener, you need to conquer 7 sins of poor listening. In next class, I will show you how to conquer the evil 7 sins. So, see you next time!
In this class, you should remember these important points.